What is your last name?
Linda Kugel.
This is your sister.
It is.
And this gentleman is the father of your sister's children. How many children do you have?
3, sir. Ma'am.
Are the two of you married?
No.
This is your son.
He is.
And I assume he's here because he contributed money to this airfare.
Correct.
So I read your brief complaint and answer, and I'm trying to put the story together. Let me see, based upon some years in the family court, what I gather happened. You lived in the state of Texas.
Correct, I do.
And you live in the state of?
North Dakota.
And your 3 children were living with you in Texas.
Correct.
You started to have some difficulty, probably with a substance abuse problem.
I was diagnosed with epilepsy.
That's not what I asked you. The state doesn't usually become involved in a situation unless there is some sort of potential neglect of children. Was the family court involved with your children?
Due to
Yes.
an unlicensed daycare, yes.
The state became involved with your children.
Yes.
And they were threatening to remove the children from your custody.
Correct.
In Texas. Okay, that's the long and short of it.
Yep.
You called your sister.
Correct.
And I'm putting this together because while the particular what you're suing for is different, the story isn't different. You called your sister and you said to your sister, unless you take custody of the children, the state's going to put them in foster care.
Yeah.
Is that what she said to you?
Yes.
So your sister paid for the children to come down to live with her.
Correct.
You put the children, how old are they?
11, 9, and 7.
Put the 3 children on a plane.
Correct.
She had gotten the tickets and you took custody of the children. When was that?
August 27th.
And when the children came to you, your sister had given you certain documentation so that you could enroll them in school,
She did.
take care of their medical care, that she was giving you the authority to do that. Do you have that document with you?
I do.
I'd like to see it, please. This is a temporary guardianship agreement that you prepared and signed and notarized.
I did.
At some point, the children's father contacted you. When was that?
It was exactly 1 week after I had gotten the children to my house.
And how, sir, did you find out in North Dakota?
Yes.
You're starting to laugh. Don't start to smile.
I'm sorry.
Don't start to smile. It's not funny.
It's not. I'm sorry.
Great. How did you find out that the children were now living in Minnesota with their aunt?
She called me when I was in church and told me that her sister had the kids and that the sister had refused to have her talk to the kids. So,
Just a minute. So she called you.
yes.
And what did she want you to do?
She called me with a problem and she wanted me to solve it. That's typical of what she does.
So what did you do?
I was talking to my pastor and he said, oh, simple, just call the sheriff when you get there. So I called the sheriff.
We're missing a step. It's like we went from chapter 1 to chapter 3. She called you with a problem.
Yes.
You started to tell me her problem was that her sister wasn't letting her speak to the children.
Yes,
So what do you need a sheriff for?
because the sister would not give up the kids to me.
Just a second. What does her problem with speaking to the children have to do with you getting the children?
Because when I called the sister to ask her if she had the kids, she put the kids on the phone and the kids said they didn't want to see me. So my pastor was
Just a second. So you called the children because she...
I
Listen to me.
called her. I
Listen
didn't
to
call the
me.
kids.
Listen to me. She called you.
Yes.
Was that the first time that you knew that the children were in Minnesota?
Yes.
You didn't know that she had sent the children to Minnesota.
No, I knew the kids were in Texas.
So that would suggest to me if a week went by, you weren't in regular contact with the children.
No, she wouldn't let me.
Don't tell me wouldn't let.
Okay.
What I'm asking you is it suggests to me that if you have 3 children and a week went by, you hadn't spoken to them in at least a week because you had no idea that they were removed from Texas and they were now in Minnesota,
No,
right?
I did not.